All right, guys. Hey, my name is Andy Demetrio. I'm an owner with Blue City Kayaks, and I'm also a river guide. And we wanted to have this little Facebook Live event. The weather, it's actually the middle of the winter, but it's kind of warm, and people have been kind of sedentary during the cold weather months, and don't want people going from the activity level that they've been for the past few weeks to all of a sudden getting active again and causing some injury, doing something dangerous, or even if you're a beginner and you're wanting to try some kind of new outdoor activity, excuse me, some new outdoor activity, want to give you some tips on how to ease your way into that so that it can be the most enjoyable activity that you're taking on. Now, we've got a really good group of experts in different outdoor activities. We've got Cameron Thomas with Grivet Outdoors, Keith Tolley with Victory Bicycle Studio, and Sarah Barker with Sarah Barker Fitness. So guys, I kind of go through and let you kind of introduce yourselves real quick. Already introduced me. Cameron, you want to go ahead and talk about yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Cameron, and I am the resident running nerd at Grivet Outdoors. I've been running since 1995. I ran all 4 years in high school, and then I ran in college as well at the University of Memphis for a couple seasons. And I've been kind of doing some old man speed stuff here lately, trying to keep the wheels going. But also, I love helping people. I love helping people achieve their goals in running, and honestly, helping them with footwear as well. So one of the things we do here at Grivet is kind of make sure we get people fitted to the appropriate shoe so they have their best experience running.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Next on my window, Sarah, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Sarah Barker, and I have been a group fitness instructor and a trainer for about 22 years. I've done it since high school, the summer after I graduated. I just fell in love with helping people reach their fitness goals and their nutrition goals along the way. And I'm not a registered dietitian, nor do I claim to be. I have learned just a few things in, a couple decades of coaching people and what works, and just love seeing people empowered to actually enjoy their lives and enjoy their bodies physically and with food. So, because they all obviously work, hand in hand. Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing today. I'm looking forward to getting back outside. Like you said earlier, it's been, a lot of sedentary time. So it's really great to get outside soon.
All right, cool. Thanks for being here. And Keith Tolley with Victory Bicycle Studio. Keith, you want to introduce yourself real quick? He's on mute. He may. There you go. Keith, you with us? All right, I think Keith may be having some technical difficulties with his microphone. So we'll get started, and Keith, we'll jump in with you here in a minute. Okay, so cool. So one of the things that we wanted to kind of touch on, and I'm going to go over a couple of things real quick that kind of touch on any outdoor activity. The first one being the 3 layers, or the 3 W's of layering. And I hope that Cameron and Keith and Sarah will be able to kind of take this list and show you kind of what to wear, what they do. I'm gonna be centric and specific to kayaking and canoeing. So you've got 3 W's of layering, if you remember those. The first W is going to be your wicking layer, which that's the one that's going to go against your skin, against your body. And it needs to be made out of some kind of like synthetic material, like dry wicking. This is an example of, I don't know if you can really see this, but this is an example of a dry wicking shirt. It's nice and thin. It feels almost like that microfiber that you wear, or not wear, that you used to like clean your lens caps with or wipe your cell phone off with. So that's your first layer. It needs to be kind of tight. And you don't ever want these layers to be made out of cotton, because cotton won't take the moisture off your skin. It just stays wet and it doesn't dry. The next W that you want to have is your warmth layer. And that's a good example. That's going to be like this sweatshirt. It's nice and loose. There's room for pockets of air in between the wicking layer and this warmth layer. And what that does is it kind of insulates your body. It kind of retains your heat. So again, the wicking layer is against your skin. It's a little bit tight. The warmth layer is going to be a little bit looser and on top of the wicking layer. If you get a little too hot, you can just pull that warmth layer off. The last W of the 3 W's is weather. And a lot of times you may not need that. If it's sunny, not so much, but it could be something like a raincoat or even an umbrella, you know, if you're carrying that with you, depending on what your activity is. And we've got a, sometimes, like I said, you don't even need it though. Another thing on the warmth layer and the weather layer could be like a hat. I like to wear wool caps or wool hats. So that's a good option for the warmth layer, and sometimes even the weather layer. So those are one of the questions that I always get is what to wear. That's why I went over that. Now there's another list that I really like. And again, this is going to be centric to kayaking and canoeing. I'm hoping that Sarah and Keith and Cameron may be able to adjust this list a little bit for the activities they'll be talking about, but it's your outdoor essentials list. And the first thing on the outdoor essentials list, I always like to carry a good pocket knife or a multi-tool with me. You never know when you might need to cut something away. First aid kit, actually that should be the first thing on the list. The first aid kit is probably the most important thing that I carry on my kayak as far as helping people out. You never know when someone might scrape themselves on a branch that's hanging over them, or there could be some kind of growth over into the some kind of growth that comes over and they scratch themselves on, or they may even fall and twist an ankle. So, or not out in the kayak, but when they get out of the kayak, it's easy to roll an ankle if you don't do it the right way. So that's an important thing to have. Extra clothing. One of the things about kayaking is you always dress for immersion. And if you get wet, even though you're wearing the proper layers of the 3 W's, that extra clothing is kind of nice, because it can be pretty miserable if you're completely drenched and you continue a trip and you've got 5 or 6 miles left to go. Extra water. I always carry the water that I need, and and I also carry enough water in case I run out of water, or if someone else runs out of water, I can give them some water so that we're going to be all okay there. Hydrating is very, very important. Another thing important about hydrating is also make sure you drink plenty before you take the trip, and also after, because your body continues to metabolize that water. You want to take a flashlight or headlamp. You never know if you're going to be, if you're kayaking in an area you're not familiar with, it could get dark on you, and you want to be able to see yourself through, see your clear paths or anything like that. Trail food. This is very, very important too. You might wear yourself out, and it's always nice to have that little extra energy that you can get from trail food. And when it's summertime, I always recommend carrying something that does not have chocolate or Skittles or anything in it like that, because that stuff melts. And you want stuff that's not going to melt and clump up. You just want to be able to take a handful, grab a bite, keep moving. And then fire starters and matches. Those are always real good. You never know when you might need to build a small little fire. Sun protection, clothing and or sunscreen. I'm not a big fan of putting sunscreen on my body, and the clothing that I wear, the wicking layer especially, usually provides about a 30 to 40 SPF, so you don't have to spray the sunscreen on your body. You can just I wear a long sleeve shirt even if it's 95 degrees outside, because the wicking layer wicks that sweat off my skin, and it kind of gives a cooling effect to that. So but sunscreen is very important. You don't want to burn, and you have lots of time out in the sun before you can get back to civilization. Navigation equipment. A GPS is always a really good idea. And I also carry a map and compass with me because, you know, if my cell phone runs out of juice, I need to have some way to navigate out of the place that I'm in. But I also carry a couple of Andy's additions to the outdoor essentials. I would always carry extra batteries for my flashlight, and always carry an extra battery pack for my cell phone, so if it does run out of juice. And then a third thing that's always a good idea if you're in the middle of nowhere is to carry walkie-talkies with you, because you may have no cell phone service, but you can generally have like a 3 to 5 mile range on a walkie-talkie, so you can communicate with any emergency services if necessary. So that's basically what I wanted to touch on as far as the basics that kind of apply to any outdoor activity you're going to start. The other thing too, there's two other things I want to touch on. Then I'm gonna kind of hand this over to Sarah real quick to talk about some physical fitness and eating. But weather forecasts and outdoor conditions, you know, check it 5 days out, 3 days out, 1 day out, and then check it the day of. You don't want to be stuck in a situation that, especially when you're in the mid-South, the weather forecast changes hourly sometimes. So just make sure that you keep up with that. And then you want to have a float plan or a trip plan or a route map that you've given to somebody that is not on the trip with you, so that if you don't check in at the right time, they know to contact emergency services so you can be located, and or at least they know roughly where you are. So if they need to come searching for you, there's a good chance they'll find you. So those are kind of some basics. Now I'm going to kind of hand this over to Sarah, let her talk about nutrition and exercise that you can do to kind of get your body in shape for when you do pick up these new activities. Sarah, what you got?
Nice. Thanks, Andy.
Oh, hey, real quick, one more thing I want to add. If you have any questions or comments, make sure that you put them in the comments section, and we will address them as they come along. I can throw them up on the screen, and we can look at them and give you an answer. All right, Sarah, sorry about that.
No worries. Well, so I knew that since this would be more of just a visual, like a lecture type info, video, I didn't figure anybody would stand up and do any stretches with me. So I thought I would just try to describe a couple of stretches really that would be specific for like whatever somebody is doing outside. And before I go over that, just real briefly, obviously we've all heard since we were playing, childhood sports, that it's important to stretch. It's important to stretch before, it's important to stretch after. We've heard all of the things. I personally prefer to stretch after when muscles are already a little bit warmer. But there are some things that you can do to warm up the body first. And I'm sure Cameron can testify to this, warming up the body first and then doing some stretches for running, just so your muscles are already firing and your ligaments and your tendons are a little bit stretchier and more malleable. And the way that I remember this and help to kind of explain it is because is to kind of describe the fascia, the thin layer of protectant kind of over the muscles. It tends to contract when we are sedentary or stagnant or even just sleeping. Like, when you wake up and you're like, everything is so stiff, like everything is so stiff because our fascia has been drawn in, and it's normal. That's normal. But it's our job to kind of wake it up a little bit. So when we're going to be doing, for example, some running or hiking, I think hiking and kayaking, Andy, you would probably agree would probably be the two more underestimated activities that you would need to stretch for or even train for. And so, and they're all different. For example, if we are going to go kayaking and our lower extremities are going to be kind of secured in one spot, it's going to be even more essential for us to make sure we stretch before or after we get in and out of that kayak, so that your legs don't cramp up, so that they're not, falling asleep. Not that they could. I've been on a kayak tour with Andy, and there's no way that anything's falling asleep, on the river, right? But for example, stretching out those quads and your hip flexors, because you're going to be seated for a long period of time. And same thing, obviously, as a cyclist, Keith and Cameron, wanting to make sure that those hip flexors are good and stretched, and doing like a kneeling stretch on your knees. As a yoga 200-hour certified instructor, one of the things one of the poses that I love is the hero pose, and you're literally sitting on your knees, and you're leaning back and grabbing your ankles on the outside of the ankles while stretching those quads. And maybe when you were little, I don't know about you guys, but every girl I knew when we were little could like lay down flat with our legs underneath us, just lay down. But now that we're a little bit older, it's not so easy to just lay down flat. You might get stuck like right here just to stretch it out those legs. But with cycling and with running and with hiking, we're using those hip flexors and those quad muscles quite a bit. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about stretching wise for hiking specifically would be that constant this hunching over. And we tend to do this anyway with computers and phones and sitting in our car or whatever. So there's really not a whole lot of need to stretch this way. We always need to stretch back. It's a hard work, so it's going to be more energizing anyway, but then pulling the shoulders back and stretching and finding a stick while you're outside or a paddle, and you would make it really easy, to be doing some overhead, stretches with the paddle or the stick going, just kind of engaging those rotator cuffs and getting some mobility that way. So, I mean, there's literally like, hundreds of appropriate stretches and exercises that we can do before any kind of activity, but just the main thing, my dog is doing the zoomies right now. Like I can't ever do a Zoom without the zoomies. It's like it works hand in hand. So she's losing her mind under the dining room table right now. So forgive me, guys, a little bit distracted. Ivy. Got rid of all of the family. All of the family is gone, but the dog is here, and she is the one that's decided to distract me. So sorry about that, guys. So anyway, so moving on, really, like I said, I think there are plenty of stretches that we can do, lots of exercises that we can do to strengthen some of those things. But the main thing that we want to make sure we're doing is warming up that body before we do any kind of activity, stretching out the calves specifically in any sport. I think in any activity outside is very, very essential. Stretching the shins is also something that's underestimated, and you can do that again with that hero pose or that stretching while kneeling. And then the shoulders. The shoulders are something that we're thinking, oh, we're walking, we're running, we're cycling, we're using our legs. But in kayaking, you think, oh, okay, I'm using my arms. I bet my shoulders will be sore. But all the other things, we're not thinking about our upper body. Our upper body. So I think that one of the things that we forget is that we've got to stretch the upper body as well. If you're hiking and you've got a backpack, if you're cycling and you're leaning forward, I mean, all of those things, we've got to make sure that we stretch out those muscles in the back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and launch right into nutrition for outdoor activities. And we've already talked about hydration, so I want to mention that again. Speaking of hydration, I'm really thirsty, and I actually legit go through this gallon every single day. It will be gone by the time I go to bed. It is there. But drinking that water is essential. Obviously, I'm not going to look. Everyone on the screen just now all just took a drink of their water. Great job. It's like it was a subtle, one of the things that they kind of put in front of you to make you do it. You're not going to take this on a hike unless you're going on a long hike with a big pack. Can't take that on my bike. It could fit in a kayak. I think we always had our bottled water in the kayak. But I think that with the backpack carriers, the Nathan brand that Cameron sells at Grivet, Camelback type things, those are great for having hydration easy. So that if this straw is in my face, just like if this thing is in my car next to me, I'm drinking it. It's visual, and I'm thinking about it. If you're thinking about being thirsty, you've already passed the part of the dehydration process. So you want to make sure you're always drinking water. But when you're not able to drink all the water all the time, another way to make sure you're staying hydrated is to get appropriate amount of electrolytes. And we all have electrolytes in our body. It's all a normal thing. We've all heard of Gatorade and Powerade, which almost always, other than the new ones, have added sugars and added too much sodium and coloring and things like that. And so for hydration, for me personally, I'm a very sweaty person, and it sucks to live in the South because I literally walk outside and start sweating. The humidity is, so deep here. But we have to replenish our bodies with more than just water when we're done with an activity specifically. I actually use electrolytes through my workouts for intra. But at the risk of being salesy, I'm not being salesy, but the brand that I recommend is Endurance, because our hydration sticks have an almost 1-to-1 potassium to sodium ratio, which makes your body a little bit more available to absorb the electrolytes. If you're drinking a Powerade, for example, and there's just this huge amount of sodium and all this extra sugar, or even if you get the sugar-free one, there's sometimes just a little imbalance. You're basically just drinking flavored water. It's not exactly the same as drinking really strong electrolytes. Coconut water is a great one. It's obviously from a natural source, but you want to make sure you've got something. So for me, to replenish when I'm sweating, I'll do something like the X Endurance Hydro Sticks. But all that to say, that's the water portion. I'm going to go fly through this other stuff because I don't know if I'll do it on time, Andy. But I am a visual person, and so I brought all my snacks. I thought about putting them in my Cotopaxi backpack, Cameron, that I got from Grivet, just to like make. But that is actually my purse. I carry a Cotopaxi as a purse on my back everywhere I go, and I would have had to take out all my things to put in the food. So I was like, it's just too much trouble. I'm just going to show y'all. Okay. So we all know that proper nutrition is key in day-to-day life. This is a kind of a dumb moment. We all know that. But when you're outside and you're moving your body, lots of people, I don't know who these people are. I've never in my whole entire adult life ever forgotten to eat. Like I don't understand that. I'm always thinking about food. So those people, though, you are those people that are going to have to like really be on top of your nutrition on any outdoor activity, because you're gonna get hungry and your body's gonna react to that, and then you're more prone to injury or dehydration, like we talked about earlier, or getting sick, or fatigue, all those things. So went outside, and I was thinking hiking and kayaking more than something super active like running or cycling, where you can't really stop, or if you do stop, you're stopping to eat or use the bathroom. You're actually able to kind of, nosh while you're riding down the road or the mountain, trails or whatever. But we always want to make sure when we are snacking or eating on the road or on in outdoor activities, I say on the road, like outside, that you're getting preferably more than one macronutrient category at one time. For example, I'm not going to ever just eat peanut butter by itself. I don't need just a fat, right? I'm not going to eat just avocados by themselves. I could
Sarah, real quick, can I ask you to tell everyone what a macronutrient is?
Oh, yes, you can. So macronutrients are the three main categories that make up our food: proteins, fats, and carbs. There are micronutrients. There are all kinds of other nutrients in our food. We got vitamins in our food. We got potassium and magnesium and zinc and sodium and sugars and all those things. But the protein, the fats, and the carbohydrates are the main components, and everything we eat falls primarily into one of these three categories. Sometimes there's a tie between two, but more times than not, most things fall more in one category than the other. And I'll since I just mentioned peanut butter, I'll talk about almonds. Almonds are a perfect example of something that people think are a protein because they have protein in them, but almonds are a fat. And so they're a fat that also has protein. Okay, so but it mostly falls into the good fats category. So a snack that I would suggest on, outside for me specifically would be obviously not this giant bag and this giant thing of blueberries, but like blueberries and almonds mixed together in one little Ziploc baggie. Blueberries, because they're a great carb source for quick energy. And they have a low glycemic rate. So they're not as, carb heavy, if you will. And then something like, I'm backwards, so I'm like pulling this out of the scene. Low sodium almonds, or maybe even no salted at all almonds. Just because it gives you a good fat and it gives you a carb at the same time, and it keeps you full for a little bit longer. And it's something easy that you can snack on, and that's not going to melt, like Andy mentioned earlier. It's not going to get gross. Another great on-go snack would be jerkies, or really like good quality dried meats. I am a pescatarian. I don't know how these taste. I bought these for my husband in several different flavors, and they're still unopened in the pantry. So I don't know he might not know they are, I guess. But you want to look for dried meats or jerkies that are lower in sodium, so that you're not dehydrating yourself by having a snack, right? So, but something like this, it would be an easy protein to take and travel with you, that you could also have at the same time as a fruit. I've also put in here tuna because it's easy to carry and it's really lightweight and you can stick it in a pack very easily. Preferably something like a low sodium tuna, but this one doesn't come with a cool little spoon. I don't know if you guys have seen these. I eat these probably every other day to get a little bit of extra protein, but they have like a little built-in spoon that folds out. It's the cutest thing and I love it. I like to eat it out of the pouch. It's just something easy. This is a great way to get some protein in your body and maybe have a cutie or a mandarin or something as your dessert with that so that you've got a protein and carb at the same time. So if you're wanting something that's a little bit more substantial, like let's say we're going on a long kayak ride or we're going on a long run or long cycle trip or whatever hike, and you want something that's going to sustain you for a little bit longer, you always want to have a 1-to-1 carb to protein ratio to make it a little bit more like a meal. And what that means basically is that a serving of a carbohydrate is about 15 grams of carbs. So like think a half a banana or a cutie or a small apple, a handful of blueberries. That's a serving of carbs, right? And then a serving of protein is about 20 grams of protein. So think a little piece of grilled chicken. And grilled chicken, or so I've been told, I haven't had any chicken since I was 14. You can try cold with it, like so grilled chicken strips in a baggie, or the tuna packets that I just showed you guys. Something like this. One serving of protein is about 20 grams. This is 17, so it's close. So having those two things together in an equal serving partnership is going to make it more of a meal. Does that make sense? So you're not just having a carb and you're not just having protein, because all carbohydrates are in our body is like stored energy. If you're not going to use it either immediately or longer term, then your body stores it as that. So we have to make sure we stay on top of what we're eating. We don't just eat empty calories that are full of carbs and sugars. So I hope that makes sense. Sometimes I can't tell if I'm saying, like when I didn't define macros, Andy, because I just assume people know what they are, but we don't. Okay, so I also put these in there because I love these easy peanut butter things, and you can have like celery with some raisins and this peanut butter, and there you've got carb in your raisins. You got your celery, which is technically a carb, but it's kind of free, and then you've got your peanut butter here, and you can have that as your quick source of carbohydrates, or you can have your protein and something else. I don't often recommend bars, but we do have bars at my house for easy, like quick, if I need something really quick. And so I've got the Bear bars are my current favorites. I got them at Trader Joe's. I'm not sure where else you can get them, but they're amazing. And then lastly, if I'm traveling, I have protein in my backpack, some kind of protein. It's usually these tuna packets and like a pouch of protein, plant-based protein. Nope, this one, plant-based protein, or like a chocolate protein. That is a whey blend, and I can mix those in some water and shake it up and go. If I need it to be a meal, I mix my Fuel 5, which is a carbohydrate source, made of organic sweet potato and some other goodness for some long-term energy. But I put all that together, I shake it up, and I go. I don't go more than 2 hours without eating during the day ever. Actually, as soon as somebody else starts talking, I'll be having my my snack here today, which is like it's 4 egg whites and some pickles, because a girl's got to eat. But anyway, hopefully that helps. Maybe even just one of those things in all of those thousands of words will help you guys in your next trek outside.
So Sarah, we got a comment by Brett Kotke. He says his go-to protein is Slim Jims. So what do you think about that?
Do you mean go-to like when you're out and it's just the only thing you have?
Let's assume that. Yeah, I think that's probably when he's out.
Again, dried meats are great because they travel so well. And I mean, let's be real, this is not going to go bad for a really long time. But when you look at the ingredients in the Slim Jims, and you look at the ingredients on like a Strive stick, or in I can't think of the name of the brand. Oh, Chomp Sticks from Trader Joe's. They have way fewer ingredients and a lot less sodium. And so stuff like Slim Jims and like regular jerky tends to just have a really high amount of sodium in them, which is just going to make you more thirsty and more likely to be dehydrated. And we definitely don't want that. So, I mean, if Slim Jims is what you got and that's what you're used to, and it's and it's working for you, then I'd stick with it. But otherwise, I'd try to clean it up just a tiny bit.
Yeah, and I'd kind of add to that a little bit. If that's something that is going to reduce your weight and it's not something you're going to be depending on, but something for just like a quick little burst of energy and you're maintaining your water intake, I think that would probably be okay. But if that's the only thing you're packing for protein, that's probably not the best option. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would.
And then Aaron Martin says that makes sense, Sarah.
Oh, good. I
So
say that a lot does that make sense? Like, but then I keep anyone, so I don't know if anyone is going, yes, it makes sense.
That's why Sarah's on here, Aaron, or so we can so she can say stuff like that. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll make sure that Sarah gets to them and can answer them. That was great stuff. I have some experience with the XND product line. I remember one time I took some the energy gel, the focus, and the XND endurance, which is the stuff you take every day. And man, it was a game changer on my kayak tours, especially the longer ones. It just seemed like I never ran out of energy, and which was kind of cool. But anyway,
which is good, especially if you're like on the go and you can't take a bunch of food with you, like on a kayak,
right.
For example. I think something like the energy gel. I have to tell you, I am not a runner like Cameron, and I love my mountain bike, Keith. But I think, the biggest mountain I've ever gone anywhere is in Chattanooga and Knoxville. Like, they're not huge mountains, right? But my real dear friend is a avid runner. He runs 50-mile runs, races all the time, always running. And he switched from his previous brand of gel, I won't mention, to the energy gel from X Endurance. He started switching. So every 5 miles on his long runs, he's got them hidden along the way, and he's getting me switched because it's been such a game changer for his time. So something easy. It's just something easy you can carry that you don't have to worry about a lot of stress over.
Yeah, that's nice, and it's very convenient too. So cool. All right. Well, Sarah, hope you can hang on for a little bit. We're going to jump over to Keith, let him talk about cycling. And I've actually got a history with Keith. Keith did a bicycle ride from San Francisco to Washington, D.C. back in, what year was that, Keith? You're on mute, by the way.
There we go. That was way back in 1999.
Okay, so about 5 years after I did it.
Yeah.
And so it's he actually rode my bicycle, which was kind of cool. And
Yes,
anyway, so Keith knows what he's talking about and Keith, introduce yourself a little bit, because I know you're having some difficulties when we were going through introductions. So kind of introduce yourself a little bit, and then go into what you want to talk about tonight.
Sure. Again, thank you, Andy, for having me here. And it's good meeting Cameron and Sarah. Sarah, that was it's going to be tough to follow. That was a lot of informative information you just gave out there. That was really good. So again, I am Keith Tolley. I currently work at Victory Bicycle Studio over on Broad Avenue. I've been there for a couple of years. I'm customer service manager. Kind of like Andy had just previously mentioned, I fell in love with cycling back in college when I got the opportunity to ride across the country. It was all to raise money and awareness for people with disabilities. But, like I always said, seeing the country from coast to coast is one thing, but seeing it on a seat from a bicycle is a whole different experience. So loved it. And then kind of got away from it for a little while. And then got back into it once the city, when Mayor Wharton kind of put in the green line and bike lanes all throughout the city. Memphis went from one of the worst cities to ride a bike in statistically to one of the friendliest. So it was perfect. And I already had the passion for it. So I fell in love with it all over again. And then when I was able to get hired on at Victory, my favorite part of working at Victory is being a part of the training groups. We do a summer training group and a winter training group. So 2 of them a year, 8 months throughout the year. We are riding every Sunday morning with, we got groups of 120 plus people, all spread out in a couple, like 2 or 3 different groups of capabilities. And we ride with them for 4 months and we build them up. Mileage goes up every week. And over the summer, you're either riding up to 50 miles or 100 miles. In the winter, it's averages right around 40 to 50 miles. But the winter is a challenge because, as we know, it's cold. It's tough to get up and be motivated and want to get up and ride. But, that's why we're there, to keep everybody accountable and just have everybody enjoy it. That's the whole point, is just to fall in love with cycling, enjoy it as much as we do. Tonight, what I kind of want to go over with everybody is just kind of how to be prepared on a bike, whether if it's on the road, during the ride, and also a little bit I'll touch on the nutrition. I'm not nearly as educated as Sarah was talking about all the stuff she was, but I've got a couple of products here with me as well that I like to use while I'm riding on the bike, and also before and after the ride. That's what I know that kind of helps me out. Everybody's different, so but I just know for that right quick. But yeah, so I'll start with the night before. What we always kind of teach people is, be prepared. Lay all of your equipment out the night before. Don't try to get everything together the day of. If you're going on a long ride, that's already could be stressful enough. Last thing you want to do is try to rush yourself in the morning and get everything together. So go ahead and get everything laid out the night before. Have your helmet out with the glasses ready. Have all of your entire kit, your shorts, your shoes, whatever you cycle in, have it ready for yourself. And then once the morning comes, well, actually the night before, as Sarah was saying, hydrate. Hydrate all week long. Hydrate days before. Hydration is the key part. We always say, nobody makes fun of the hydrated guy. So be prepared. Drink plenty of water beforehand. So that way, in the day of the ride, that morning when you wake up and you're ready to ride, your body is ready. That hydration, you're mentally prepared, so you're ready to go. So once you've dressed up and you've kitted up, you're ready to ride. It's time to go. And once you're on the ride, the best part of it is just being. Let's go back to being hydrated. So with my water bottles that I use, I have a couple of them on my bike at the entire time. We use Scratch. It's just a scoop and a half of that while you're riding. We try to say drink a bottle every hour you're on the bike. So every hour, have a bottle. If you're on the bike for more than a couple hours, you can have another one packed into your pocket in your back jersey. I have 2 bottle cages on my bike. Most road bikes have that. Most cyclists don't carry a Camelback with it, just extra weight. So when I'm out on a long ride, I do have certain areas I know that will have water, whether if it's a park or somebody's house, that I know I can stop at and refill with water. So also when it comes to food on the bike, I like some gels. We have this one right here, Goose. We have a couple different brands as well. Again, that's just what I'm used to riding. When I used to run a lot, I would use Goose as well. So Goose is something I would use to it helps to refuel yourself. So every 45 minutes, I'll eat a Goo. I like certain flavors. Everybody has their own kind of different ones they like. Some people like the ones with caffeine, some like without the caffeine. So it's just kind of what your body is used to and what you prefer. So, and then after the bike ride, when I'm done, post ride, I use Endurox for recovery. A couple of scoops of this into my water bottle. That just helps curb the cravings of wanting to go scarf a large pizza right after I get done riding, because that would just completely ruin the whole ride. But so that helped curb the appetite and also replenish again everything that you just spent out. Let's talk about while you're on the bike, equipment wise. Everybody that comes into our shop, they always say, starting to hurt a little area, certain area. Shorts are great, running or athletical shorts are fine, but what you want is a good pair of cycling shorts. Yeah, they look funny, they feel funny, but they look like that and they feel like that for a reason. They're there to protect everything that you have down there. So it's a cushion. It's there. It's invest in a pair of shorts. So there's two things I always say after buying the bike. There's two things you need: a good pair of shorts, and obviously a helmet. People who are new to Memphis, they'll come to our shop. They'll say, "Hey, is a helmet a law? Do I have to wear a helmet?" Well, I mean, to me, it's just a common sense law. Just wear a helmet, protect your head. You've got family; they love you. Just it doesn't take much to have a brain injury. So you may look stupid, but trust me, your family loves you. So
Hey Keith,
again,
I just want to clear something up. You may look funny in bicycle shorts.
What's that?
I said I just want to clear something up. You may look funny in bicycle shorts.
Hey,
but I don't think any of us do.
Yeah, Andy, I'm sure you look fine. I'm not gonna disagree with that. And, hey, I think everybody looks fine in bicycle shorts. So it's just people just it's a very vulnerable moment when they come out of the changing room. And then I guess just going back to things to wear on the bike is another important topic I kind of wanted to touch on. There are 3 different layers, just what you want to take into account too while riding. You want to do there's a base layer, there's a thermal layer, and there's a wind barrier. Wind barrier is mainly during the winter months, so kind of what we're going through right now. Like this morning, for instance, I kind of waited a little bit until the temperature reached about mid 40s to go out on the ride. So this morning I was wearing arm warmers, a regular jersey, and a little heavier vest than normal. Sometimes the vest, I think I have one right here. Yeah. Sometimes, like, here's another little wind barrier. This thing weighs nothing. People say, well, how's that going to keep you warm? It's going to keep the wind chill factor off of you. So it's not there for weight. Again, it's just to keep the wind off of you. So I had a little heavier one on than normal this morning. So I had those on, my cycling boots, and then leg warmers. For me, what I have a rule for when it comes to covering my pants or my legs, my bottom half, is if it's 60 or above, I'm wearing just regular shorts. I'm being comfortable. Trust me, I know people who will wear shorts in the mid 30s. They're crazy, but I do want to be somewhat comfortable. So 60 and above, I'm wearing shorts. 60 and below, or 60 to 50, I'm wearing knee warmers. And 50 and below is when I'm wearing leg warmers. So like this morning it was about 45. I was definitely wearing my leg warmers. And wearing a little thermal cap underneath my helmet, and I had a neck gaiter on as well. That's almost a habit now just because of these times. But it does help during the winter time as well. During the summer, also the base layer. Again, it's just a very lightweight base layer. And people say, well, how does that keep you warm? It just keeps it moist, it wicks all the sweat, and it keeps it off your jersey therefore keeping your jersey heavy too. So but that's what I would wear on the bike, and gloves as well. Today I was wearing gloves, a little heavier weight gloves, and also booties over my cycling shoes to keep my feet warm, because hands and feet, once they go cold, it can be a kind of a not miserable, but just unpleasant experience.
Yeah, so cool. And what really, when he said that about his base layer, the thermal layer, and the what'd you call it, the wind layer?
Yeah,
that's basically the 3 W's of layering that we talked about earlier. So yeah, that's really cool. So we had a question from Erin Martin. She was asking, is sign up for the beginner rides, is that online? And if you don't have a street bike, can you still join?
Yeah, absolutely. Our summer training program, which will be starting in June, the first weekend of June. So we'll start sending stuff out throughout Facebook and emails and social media. Usually in March is when we'll start getting everybody registered for that. And then that one we start out very easy, 4 or 5 miles at most for the first week. We teach everybody in the parking lot before we even hit the road how to just stop properly, how to get on and off the bike, how to even load your bike in and out of your car. We want to take all the little fear factors that people have at the very beginning of riding a bike. So we take all that away, just nip that in the butt to begin with. And then when it comes to a road bike definitely does help. We've had people in the program, in the training program, do it on a mountain bike. They are definitely working a little harder than everybody else. But you can do it on a hybrid. We've got plenty of people that do it on a hybrid. Look, out of the 130, 40 plus people that are in our training program, age group wise, I would say 60% of the people are 50 or plus in age. And then it's about 60% female. So we've really enjoyed having the older crowd, I would say. It's not, our training program isn't just a bunch of young people, athletic people, triathletes who are out there just hauling ass all day long. It's people who are just haven't ridden a bike in 20 years and they want to get out there and do it. And seeing their progress the first week, they're happy they rode 4 miles. It's the most they've done in 20 years. And 4 months later, they've ridden 50 miles.
So cool. And if they want to get a road bike, is there somewhere they can rent one? Do you guys rent them, or do you have people that may have extra bikes that they could borrow?
I mean, we definitely can have people demo a bike and ride them up and down. We got an incredible bike lane right in front of the shop that the city put out there, and not for us, but just part of the bike lane. And but yeah, it's wherever you go. The most important part of riding a bike is make sure you get fitted on it. And that's what we're known for at Victory, is making sure we get you dialed into that bike. We're not just going to pull a bike out of the rack, have you stand over it. Standing over a bike tells you nothing. So we're actually going to make sure we size you up, make sure we get you on the right size bike. And then if you do purchase a bike from us, or even if you do have a bike that you've got somewhere else, you can still bring it to us and we can still fit you to it. If you are experiencing any kind of pain, whether if it be in your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your groin, you are not supposed to be doing any of that. That means you are not fitted properly to that bike. And so we will eliminate that, whether if it's adjusting your saddle, the stem, just anything. So it's making sure you're properly fit on the bike. Make sure you're happy. That's all we want, is for you to be happy while riding, not be in pain. You can go anywhere. Just to get a bike, just stay local.
Yeah, and they may need to invest in some of the biking shorts with the little pad in the crotch to help out with that problem.
Definitely.
Cool. Yeah, Sarah, Cameron, you guys have any questions for Keith? And
I assume you guys do tune-ups for all kinds of bikes, whether they got them there or not, correct?
Absolutely. People have been bringing their bikes to us ever since this pandemic started. We have been busy since March. Over the summer, our maintenance people we were out 2 months out on some tune-ups, and people were just grabbing their bikes out of the attic and the garage, things that they hadn't seen in 20 plus years. It looked like they hadn't ridden them in 30 years. But right now we're about a week out on tune-ups, less than that actually. Memphis is riding. People are loving their bikes, whether they got them from us or not. Look around, especially when you're in Midtown. It's almost impossible to ride around Central Gardens without almost hitting somebody on the bike. I mean, people are out riding. Again, Memphis loves it, and it's been a great year. I mean, I hate to say that because 2020 was crappy for a lot of people, but cycling wise, it's been pretty awesome.
Hey Keith, you'll like this. I'm gonna throw this comment up on the screen. Can you read that?
Oh yeah, Joe. Yeah, what's up, Joe? Yeah, Joe is awesome. He's been part of our training group for a while, and we love Joe.
Cool, and we got another one. What's the cost of a bike tune-up?
Tune-up is $89.99. So during a tune-up, we're going to adjust your gears, adjust the brakes. We're going to true the wheels, make sure you have a nice smooth ride, clean out the drivetrain, give it a nice warm bath. all with hot water, and lube it all up and get it rolling just like you had it on the very first day.
Cool. Thanks for those comments and questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, man. Appreciate that. If you have any more questions for Keith or even Sarah, who's already talked, just put them in the comments. I'll make sure that they get them. And we'll move on to Cameron with Grivet Outdoors. Cameron, what's up, man? I guess you're going to talk about shoes a little bit because I see so many of them behind you.
Yes, I'm going to cover that a bit. I was going to kind of discuss running for beginners. I'm going to kind of run through these. So if anyone has any questions, just post them. My email's cameron@grivetoutdoors.com too. You can always email me. I could honestly spend an hour on each one of these topics. So I'll just kind of run through them real quick here. I'm going to use my list here too to keep me on track, or I'll just go off on mini tangents. So why running? Well, one, it's relatively inexpensive, in terms of equipment and supplies. There's not really a whole lot you need to get running. Also, it can be done just about anywhere. You can just step outside of your house and just go for a run. There are plenty of places to run in the Memphis area. You have Shelby Farms. You have the Germantown Greenway. You have the Green Line. You have Overton Park. And basically any of the bike lanes throughout the city also make great places to run as well. Just be mindful of cyclists on there too, share the road type thing. Also, there are plenty of health benefits to running as well. And I'm just going to kind of go through these. If you have any questions or want to see any of the articles, I can forward those to you as well. Running reduces the risk of heart disease by about 45%, and that's according to the Journal of American College of Cardiology. It's an efficient caloric burn as well. Now, there are a lot of factors that go into that: age, sex, weight, current fitness level, or even the train you're running on. But it ends up averaging about 100 calories per mile. So you can actually get a lot of good work done in a fairly minimal amount of time. Strengthens your joints. I know it's counterintuitive. You always get people telling you, running's bad for your joints. Well, actually, runners tend to have a lower prevalence within moderation. Let me state that too. Within moderation of hip and knee arthritis. And that's actually according to the Journal of Bone and Joint Surgery. Relieve stress, running relieves stress. It's a great way to kind of meditate. You just kind of go run and think. So it's really great for that. Strengthens bones. High impact exercise does help increase your bone density. So that's another advantage there. It's also regular exercise has been associated with lower risks of certain types of cancer. So that's definitely a great benefit. Also, get you outside and, kind of help you produce vitamin D there, which is great for bone health, but also kind of ties into elevating your mood. Also boost your confidence, when you exercise. And I think this kind of applies to all exercise. When you get out and exercise, you tend to feel a little bit better about your body. Helps improve sleep. Again, I think that ties into any type of activity. Can also stimulate memory and learning. And once again, that's another thing I think all exercise does. And another big advantage, it's also been shown to even lengthen lifespan, which is pretty cool. And again, I can forward those studies or articles if anyone wants to read more into those. Another great thing, kind of touched on earlier, needed equipment. You don't really need a whole lot for running. I would prioritize two things for sure. One, a great pair of running shoes. And a pair of running shoes that you are fitted for at a specialty shop. So here at Grivet, we do the foot and gait analysis, so we can help get individuals in the best shoe for them. Everyone's had people tell them, you got to wear this shoe. This is the best shoe. You can ask 10 different people what the best shoe is, and I promise you, you'll probably get about 10 different answers. So coming in and trying on different shoes and being fitted is number one priority. Second would be a good pair of socks. Usually you want to go with synthetic socks or wool socks. Those tend to hold their shape better. Cotton socks stretch, they shift on the foot, they actually hold moisture to the skin, which can increase blistering. So synthetic socks and wool socks actually wick away moisture. Wool is actually, it's a natural insulator, but it's also a great wicking material as well. Wool is a hollow fiber. So wool actually pulls the moisture from your skin and then it evaporates from the fiber rather than synthetics where they just kind of, that moisture evaporates through the fiber. So both are great options. In terms of apparel or layering, I always tell people dress for about 15 degrees warmer than it actually is because you do generate a lot of body heat when you run. So if it's 60 out, you want to dress like it's 75. You will warm up. It'll be a little unpleasant right at first, but you'll warm up pretty quickly. In Memphis, because it doesn't really get super cold here, I think layering lightweight layers is the best approach. Having like a tack tee is kind of your base layer. Then maybe a light jacket or a quarter zip or something over that. And then if it's really cold, maybe a light jacket over that. That way, when you begin to warm up and if you get too hot, you can just take those layers off and wrap them around your waist as you're going. Other than that, things like water bottles, especially here in the summer, it is very hot, very humid. If you're going to be active for more than 20, 30 minutes, I would definitely recommend running with a bottle. If you're keeping it to about 20, 30, and you have been hydrating throughout the day, not just the 30 minutes before you run. That's, again, hydration starts all day. I kind of do what Sarah does. I'll usually have a gallon jug with me because it becomes a challenge. So when I see that jug, I know, okay, I got to drink. If I just drink out of a water fountain or cups of water, I'll drink like 6 ounces throughout the day and be dehydrated. So definitely kind of make that a challenge. And hydrate throughout the day. Other things that we carry here as well, cell phone holders. Again, you don't really need a whole lot of equipment when you run. Some people do like to run and listen to music. So something to kind of comfortably hold your phone, that or like a waist belt of some sort that we also sell here at Grivet will help with the phone as well. So supplies, it's kind of really is as much or as little as you want to put into them. You can spend $1,200 on a pair of Normatec recovery boots if you're so inclined to, or you can just buy a good pair of shoes and socks. So that's kind of up to you. Now, a lot of times with beginners, I'll get the question, how long or how far should I start out running? Honestly, well, first of all, let me say this. With any kind of new exercise or if you've been sedentary for a while, it's always a good idea to get a physical. I know when I ran in high school and in college, it was both required just to make sure there's no pre-existing health condition. It's just a good idea if you're just getting into fitness to get a physical. But how far, it really depends on the individual, how active you've been, and whether or not you've run before. If you've been somewhat sedentary for 20 years, you definitely don't want to go out there running. For someone who may have for someone who might have been running for 10 years and then took a couple years off and started back. So it is going to be different and depends on the individual. One gauge I would use is there's going to be soreness, but you don't want to feel pain. You don't want sharp, kind of jabbing pains. That's never a good sign. If you feel that, it's time to back off. For those who are just getting into it, I say start off with like 15 to 30 minutes. And you don't expect yourself to run that entire time either. I think the run walk method is a great method for beginners. And And that ratio is really, it's up to you. If you want to run for 30 seconds and then walk for a minute and do that for 30 minutes, that's great. You can gradually build up the time that you're running and reduce the time that you're walking until you can run that entire 30 minutes. Now, there is something called the 10% rule. The 10% rule is you don't want to increase your weekly mileage or volume. So however you want to do that, I would recommend going by time if you're new. Don't just say, I'm going to go run 3 miles, because you might feel awful at 2, and then you're kind of losing the benefits of that run after those 2 miles. So kind of pick a time, but whether you go by mileage or time, with the 10% rule, don't increase your weekly volume by more than 10% each week. So let's say you're running 1 hour your first week total. The second week, you don't want to run more than 66 minutes. A lot of times people will get feeling pretty good, especially after a few months of running, and they might, let's just say they're doing 15 miles a week. They're like, well, I felt pretty good. I think I'll do 30 this week. And you'll probably get away with that initially, but then usually a couple weeks later, you'll start to feel some nagging aches and pains. So it's consistency is key. Gradually increase your mileage. You don't want to do too much too soon. Now, make sure you only use your running shoes for running. As we use our running shoes, there is midsole compression. So if you're wearing your running shoes throughout the day at work, as you've walked and your body weight has actually compressed that midsole a bit, and then you go for a run after work, you don't have as much cushioning as you would have if you let the shoe rest in between those runs. So it'll actually improve the cushioning of the shoe. Also, it's not a bad idea to run on softer surfaces, at least 1 run a week. I would recommend starting out, try doing three runs a week. I wouldn't do much more than that, and I would spread those runs out so that you have at least a day in between to allow your body to recover from that new stimulus. You know, anytime you start a new exercise, you are stressing the body. It's a good stress for them as long as it's in moderation. But you want to make sure you don't overstress it by doing all 3 of your runs in 3 days, like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then you take the rest of the week off. So it would be better to do a run on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or mix it up however it works for you and your schedule. But try to have at least 1 recovery day in between. Another question I get is, what can I do after my run to speed recovery? So Sarah kind of touched on stretching earlier, kind of pre-workout. General rule of thumb with running is before your run, you want to do dynamic stretching. You kind of want to stimulate that neuromuscular system by things like doing leg swings or form drills. You can actually YouTube running form drills and things like A skip, B skip. These are all warm-ups that kind of stimulate the system and warm up the muscles. For after your run, it's generally accepted static stretching is a little better for that. So that's where you kind of like do toe touches and things like that. Now, after your run as well, and this kind of ties into Sarah's nutrition, try to get a snack in within 30 minutes to kind of help speed that recovery. And then generally you want to get a meal about 2 hours afterwards. That's huge. That'll help boost energy levels, and it will help reduce that recovery time as well. There are great recovery drinks. We actually have some here at the store by Tailwind. Chocolate milk is another great recovery drink. Basically, for endurance athletes, you want about a 4-to-1 carbohydrate to protein ratio. That's been established that's kind of that best ratio for endurance athletes. The sugars and the carbohydrates help replace and replenish your glucose levels, and then the protein is good for muscle recovery. And hydrate. Again, you want to hydrate throughout the day, but especially in Memphis, you will lose a significant amount of your fluids. I've actually done an experiment before. I would not recommend this, but I went to go run for an hour in the middle of July at 2 p.m. to see how much I would actually lose. And I lost 6 pounds. I lost 6 pounds in 1 hour. So you will, now our sweat rates are all different, but you definitely want to make sure you work on rehydrating after your run as well. So that's about all I had. So.
Cameron, we have a question. Elisa Ward asked, what are the best shoes for bunions?
The best shoes for bunions would be wider fitting shoes. So we can actually help fit individuals here. That's actually a pretty common ailment amongst runners or many individuals. So come in the store, we can help figure that out for you.
Cool. All right, Keith, Sarah, you guys have any questions for Cameron? I'm going to go real briefly into kayaking a little bit. If y'all don't have any questions for him, I'm going to jump on that, and then we'll wrap things up.
Andy, I don't have a question. I don't have a question for Cameron, but I would just like to say that something with their fitting analysis that they do is that shocked me when I did it was that both of my feet are not the same as far as how I carry my weight and also where my impact is. And so somebody who's a new runner, for example, or someone who's not a runner at all, unless it's written into my CrossFit WOD and very short distances, I had no idea. And I had no idea that my feet would require, perhaps would require different insoles if I did have something like an issue like that was mentioned, like bunions, or if your, plantar fascia is a little bit more strained or whatever. Anyway, I thought that was a really cool thing that they didn't just fit me for a shoe that was comfy and cute. There was something that was a little bit more detailed.
Yeah, and another thing too, I started hiking a couple of months ago, and when I got done, about 6 hours later, I could barely move my foot. The top of my foot hurt so bad, and I sent a text to one of Grivet's employees, and she responded to me. She's like, "Well, it may just be the way you're lacing your shoes up," and sent me a couple other ways to lace my shoes up that could make a difference. And that's something I never even thought about. I mean, I've laced my shoes the same way, tied my shoes the same way since I was 5 years old. And so, shoes that I'm hiking in, have them laced a little bit differently, and it seems to have helped. And I'm sure some of that, the more I do it, the more I'll get used to that. So cool. Well, Cameron, thank you so much, and Grivet for coming on. I'm going to go into some kayaking things real quick, just for some beginning stuff. And let's see, Cameron, you're the only one in this. You're the only one in this little video chat that has not kayaked with us. So we need to remedy that soon, and get that taken care of. So, all right. So kayaking is one of those things that it really got popular, especially in the Memphis area back when the pandemic started, because it was an outdoor activity and it naturally lends itself to social distancing. So you can, once you get out on the water, I mean, the kayaks are generally anywhere from 8 to 12 feet long, and the ones that we have are about 10 to 12 feet long. So it's really easy once you get out on the water to social distance. And so it's one of those things that was just naturally a thing that people started doing. If you were to go to any of the places locally that sold kayaks, like Dick's or Academy Sports, or any of the other places that sold them, they were out. I mean, it was what toilet paper and disinfecting wipes were in March and April. You couldn't find them in the stores. That's what kayaks and bicycles were like in probably like July and August. And so it's something that is really good activity. The other activities that we've talked about tend to use the lower body, and kayaking uses a lot of the upper body, although there's some minimal use of the lower body in kayaking. And so kind of just wanted to go over some beginning thing that I've got a list of about 6 or 7 tips that I think are important to do if you're wanting to get out. The first one is to know your ability. If you've never kayaked before and you don't really exercise, let's get you started out with like a beginner's class. Let's get you out and let's show you some of the paddle strokes. Let's show you how to move a kayak properly. Let's show you how to pace yourself, how to get back in the kayak if you were to capsize, how to swim it back to the shore if you're to capsize. Don't immediately jump and do a technical 9-mile kayaking tour. Do something that's more like a 3.5-mile tour. Memphis is probably one of the best areas that I know of that has sections of river that are great for beginners who've never kayaked and are great for people that have a little more desire to do technical sections. There's no whitewater in Memphis though, so if you're into that, you're going to have to go to East Tennessee, North Alabama, North Arkansas, somewhere around there. But so you want to know your physical ability, and we've had situations where we've been out in the middle of nowhere. There's no way for emergency services to get to you, and we've had to tow people out who just can't go any further. Their bodies gave out on them, so we literally had to tie a rope around and pull them out. And so know your physical ability. Always wear a life jacket. Earlier when Keith was talking about helmets, he's like, sometimes you may look silly. No. I don't think you look silly wearing a helmet if you're on a bicycle, and I don't think you look silly wearing a life jacket on a kayak. You look smart when you do that. We call people who don't wear life jackets beginners, and I don't care if they've been kayaking for 30 years. They get in a kayak without a life jacket on. I'm calling them a beginner. I won't even kayak with people unless they're wearing a life jacket or a PFD, and it's just something you need to do. Like Keith said, you have family and friends that love you, and don't let what's supposed to be a fun day out in the water turn into a day of misery and sadness for people who don't who love you. And the thing is, water doesn't give up, so it's not like we can stop the river if you get into trouble. So that's one of the reasons we offer guided tours, is we're trained to help people when they get in situations like that. So always wear your life jacket or your PFD. And there's different kinds too. I've got a buddy who's got MS. He's got very limited use of his legs. There's a particular type of PFD that he can wear that will keep it, if he were to capsize, it'll keep his head above water, keep his mouth above the surface level of the water, so he can continue to breathe. Some life jackets you wear, they assume that you can swim, so they don't do that. So make sure that you know what you're doing there. Always carry the outdoor essentials with you. I went through that list. I'll post it on the Blue City Kayaks page, but everything that I went over in that list, I've had to use at one time or another while kayaking. So carry your outdoor essentials with you, and most importantly, carry the extra set of clothes, carry some food with you, and make sure you hydrate. I know you've heard that a lot from Sarah and Keith and Cameron. Hydrate. Drink a lot of water beforehand, drink a lot of water during. And one of the things that a lot of people ask, well, what do we do if we have to go to the bathroom? We're out in the middle of nowhere. We'll pull over, let you go over to a tree, go to the bathroom there. It's better that you go in the bathroom than get dehydrated and you get a condition like heat exhaustion or heat stroke. So let's just keep you drinking water and don't worry about peeing out in the middle of nowhere. Now, Cameron or Keith, I don't know about what they would do if you're doing an urban run or an urban ride, but I'm sure that there are ways that they can take care of that situation. Earlier, I also said always carry a cell phone charger with you and extra batteries for your flashlight. You want to make sure that you put that in a dry bag, and there are specific types of dry bags that are waterproof. A lot of people think that they can take the Ziploc bag, like the yellow and blue make green. They drop their cell phone in that. I've literally seen those bags go underwater, and then if we are able to retrieve them, which has happened one time where we've been able to retrieve someone's cell phone when it fell in the river. For some reason, the yellow and blue has still made green, but the bag's full of water, and the cell phone may or may not have been ruined. We don't know what happened on that. But just invest 10, 15 bucks in a bag that's intended to be waterproof, so you have a good level of confidence that'll be the case. I mentioned about having a float plan. I think those are very important, and all that has to be, it can be just, you can just write it out. Your projected time of launch, your projected time of getting done, emergency agencies that are in the area that you would need, that your person back home would need to contact if they were if you weren't to check in on time, and you know, the color clothing you're going to wear, the color of your boat, any kind of emergency communication equipment you might have, like a cell phone or a walkie-talkie. Just, it takes maybe 5 minutes to fill it out, but it's good for peace of mind of the people that are not going on the trip with you. You know, another thing too, if you wear contact lenses and you have an extra pair of contact lenses, take them with you. If you have you know, glasses and you want to wear those and not your contact lenses, take the contact lenses with you. If you wear contacts and you have glasses, bring the glasses with you. It's just, you never know what's going to happen. I've had a contact lens actually get knocked out of my eye before, and I had another contact lens set with me, so I was able to just pop another one back in after pulling over. Always use the buddy system. It is not a good idea to do anything on a river in a kayak by yourself. There are people that do it. There are people who do it as safely as possible, and most of the time everything works out okay, but you never know what kind of situation you're going to be in, and the chances of that same situation happening to two people is a lot higher than that situation just happening to one. So you want to have someone who can get help if you get into trouble, and you want to be able to help someone else if they get into trouble too. So and then you need to have a plan for communicating that. If you're in a place with no cell phone, you need to have a walkie-talkie, or if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you need to have a walkie-talkie if you have a if you want to have a chance of getting in touch with somebody. And then the last thing that I want to say, and this is something that I see a lot of beginners not doing, I even see a lot of people that know what they're doing not doing this: take time to enjoy the trip. You know, they just paddle, paddle, paddle. They want to get from point A to point B as quickly as they can, and they miss out. And one of the reasons that I wanted to, excuse me, put this together, I really believe strongly in getting outside and seeing a side of specifically the Memphis area that most people don't get to see. And I'm going to show you some pictures here of some shots, just real quick of water areas around the area. So this photo here is Wapanaka Lake that's in Terrell, Arkansas. If you look at a map of Memphis and you see where Meme and Shelby Forest State Park is, and you take your finger and go about 3.5 miles to the west, it's directly west of there. It used to be a bend in the Mississippi River. About 4,000 years ago, the Mississippi River changed course, and it left that behind. That green stuff's called duckweed. All right, now this is one of our tours. This is on the urban section of the Wolf River between Germantown Road and Walnut Grove. We have a little that we pull out on and give some information about the Wolf River. There's a lot of misconceptions about that river. This is just to the westish of the Germantown Road Bridge. You can see the Germantown Road Bridge in the background. You see all those people having fun. They're social distancing, just having a good time. That water there is actually only about 2.5 feet deep at most. Depends if there's a lot of rain. You don't want to depend on that number I just gave you. Again, same section. All right, now this is the Ghost River section. Just about everyone in the Memphis area has heard of the Ghost River section. This is part of the Ghost River. This is another part of the Ghost River in the fall. It's really pretty. Those trees are cypress trees, and they've just changed colors for the fall. This is the Wolf River Harbor downtown, and used to be where the Wolf River emptied into the Mississippi River. Now it's a flat water area, and that's looking at the sunset over Arkansas. That's the Mississippi River that you see in the distance. There's the new bridge. This is a section of river that is in Germantown, where the river had changed course in 2019. And then you never know who you're gonna run into on a trip down the Wolf River. But I wanted to put this together because there's so many things that you can see in the Memphis area, and if you don't get outside, you will never see them. Most people that I know that are lifelong Memphians have never seen the Wolf River. They've never seen how beautiful it is. We call our tour through Memphis the most Memphis thing you've never done because of that reason. Keith could probably attest to this, that, you know, you see a side of Memphis when you're biking down the streets than you do when you're in a car. Cameron, when you're running on trails, you see a side of Memphis that you've never seen before. I mean, most of the stuff you guys do, I guess, is in the Memphis area, right? So it's really pretty cool to see things like that. And Sarah, man, she's going to help you. She can help you get in shape. Now, Sarah, you I know you're on mute, so unmute yourself real quick if you can. But you, if someone wants to get in touch with you about any kind of questions about physical fitness, how would they do that? Is Sarah Barker Fitness on Facebook?
Yeah, Sarah Barker Fitness on Facebook is my business page. I'm really heavily on Instagram is my main platform these days, Sarah Barker Fitness on there. I do have a couple of YouTube channels with free workouts and things that you do at home. But I would love it if we could maybe put everybody's link in the comments, because I did not know anything about Victory. And we no longer have a bike shop in DeSoto County. So we have to take our bikes to Memphis for all of our needs. And I'm glad to know that there's somebody local that we can trust. Same thing with Gribbon. I'm really thankful that they're here to start promoting more of a healthy lifestyle around the DeSoto County area, because we.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, we don't have the most bike friendly streets like Memphis has. We're the before. We're the Memphis before.
So one question that someone had sent me before this even came on is should I buy or rent a kayak, and how much should I spend? And that's actually a question we get quite a bit. Anywhere within a 3-hour radius of Memphis, you're going to be in what's called Class A, which is flat water like a lake, or Class 1 water, which is like a slow-moving river, not very technical, like the Wolf River. And so just about any kayak that you can find at a Dick's or an Academy Sports, the $200 Pelicans, the Sun Dolphins that Bargain Hunts had, those are going to be great for if you're going to only kayak within about a 3-hour radius of Memphis. Now, if you get into and the Wolf River and all the waterways in the Memphis area, the rivers are what's called alluvial rivers, which means that they are constantly shifting. Their soil suspended in the water. So they don't have that hard rock bottom. So if the boat accidentally grounds out, it's really just going to be going through mud and sand. It's not going to be, getting gashed by sharp rocks. If you go outside of that 2.5-hour, 3-hour radius of Memphis, then you're going to start getting into some rock bed rivers like the Spring River in Arkansas, which that's where I fell in love with kayaking. Keith was there. I think he was there. And then, but then when you get over into like, middle and East Tennessee, Northern Alabama, North Carolina, Missouri, you're going to start getting a lot of those rock bed rivers, and you're going to want to spend a lot more, maybe not a lot more money, but a little bit more money, and invest in a little bit higher quality kayak that can handle that kind of a thing if you were to ground out on a rock bottom. Blue City Kayaks has tours. Our tours are kicking into gear at the beginning of April, and we would love for you to come out and try some of our kayaks out, take a tour. We don't do rentals. We do tours for a couple of reasons. We want to make sure that you're safe. So all of our guides are trained in water rescue, CPR, wilderness first aid, so we can get you out of a situation if you get yourself into one. We haven't had that happen, knock on wood. And then the other thing is we want you to not only have fun, but we also want you to learn something about the area, how vital the Wolf River is to the Memphis water supply. And also, a little bit about conservation. We always like for every one of our guests to take at least one piece of trash out with them and leave the river better off than it was when they got on it. So that's it. I'm done on that. Keith, how do people get in touch with Victory Bicycle Studio?
Yeah, you can either, we're huge on social media. So reach out to us at Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Phone number, you can 746-8466. If you had a pin, just handy, perhaps right there. But yeah, just give us an email, info@victorybicyclestudio.com, or you can email me, Keith@victorybicyclestudio.com. We're here all the time to help you out. We are encouraging appointments at this time because of COVID. We are only allowing a few people into the store at a time. So if you could, please give us a call. We would love to get you scheduled in. And once you get scheduled in, you have priority. So if there is a line out the store, and there's a lot of times there are, you get to come right on in, and you get all of our attention because you have that appointment. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right, I got a question here before I jump over to Cameron. Philip asked, we live near Wapanaka and are interested in exploring it via kayak. When do you guys usually paddle that area? So Wapanaka Lake is a national wildlife refuge area, and right now they're closed until the end of February. March 1st is when they reopen, and we'll have our tours kicking. You have to have a special permit to do Wapanaka tours by kayak. If you use a commercial outfitter like Blue City Kayaks, if you have your own kayaks, you can go out there and paddle that after March 1st, anytime you want to, well, during daylight hours. And but yeah, we have a tour out there. We know a lot about Wapanaka Lake. We take you through about 4 different ecosystems when we lead our Wapanaka tours. So yeah, would love to have you come on a tour, learn about Wapanaka Lake. It's beautiful. And but yeah, so we won't be kicking the Wapanaka Lake tours off until April at some point. All right, Cameron, how do people get in touch with you and Grivet Outdoors? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. You can actually, again, kind of like Sarah and Keith, social media. So you can look us up on Facebook or Instagram. If you have any questions, you can ask it through there, or you can email me, Cameron@grivetoutdoors.com. We have 2 store locations. The Cooper Young phone number is 901-505-2560. And I'm so sorry, I've got to look up the Olive Branch number. It's 662-408. I am so unprepared. You'd think I would know this by now.
It's okay. We're gonna put I'm gonna put all the information in a post.
Oh,
so
perfect.
If you want to just send all that information to me, I'll do that too. And if you're interested in Blue City Kayaks, our phone number is 901-762-1133. You can email me directly at info@bluecitykayaks.com. Most of you, if you're watching this, is probably on the Blue City Kayak Facebook page already, so that's a great way to get in touch with us. Or you can go to our website, bluecitykayaks.com. Go to ilovetokayak.com. That'll take you to the same spot. But yeah, any questions, I'd love to answer them for you and get you out there. We do group tours, Boy Scout troops, Girl Scout troops, youth groups, corporate team building. We've done a group with 2 groups with FedEx. So yeah, I'd love to have you out there. Guys, if there's anything else you want to add?
Yeah, Andy, I want to say right quick, thank you for doing this. Not this, but your company in general, the whole Blue City Kayaks.
Man,
like you said, that is the most. I've done a lot of cool things in Memphis. I mean, a lot of cool things. Kayaking down the Wolf River is something that I never would have thought would be one of them. And like you said, it is one of the most Memphis things you've never done. If you haven't done it, check it out. Go see Andy. It is very informative, and it is a badass experience.
Man, Keith, you're gonna make me cry.
Oh,
no, I appreciate you saying that. It's been a ton of fun. We've met a lot of good people, and
I have a lot of customers. Even a lot of customers have come in the store and said, "Hey, I just went on a kayaking tour down the Wolf River." I said, "Oh, was it through Blue?" Yeah, it was through Blue City Kayaks. So
who else is it going to be through?
Are learning about it. So, and I love
Good.
to hear about it.
I like hearing that. Thank you for saying that. So yeah, if you guys don't have anything else to add, let me run through the questions real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything. I think I got everything as they came through. But man, I really appreciate you guys taking time. I know this has taken about 29 minutes longer than we had planned, but I think you guys had some great information. I learned a lot about running. I'm probably going to be contacting Cameron in about 6 months. I'm one of those people that had really bad arthritis. I'm having a knee replacement, not this Friday, but next Friday. And when I get to the point where I can start jogging a little bit, probably be reaching out to you, Cameron.
Come see me.
I will. And Sarah, probably be reaching out to you about some stretches. And Keith, I know I'm probably going to be on an exercise bike a little bit.
Hey, let's get that bike fixed.
Yeah, I know. We need to do that. Need to do that. Well, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your evening. Thank you so much. And for everyone who's watching, thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can still reach out after the fact, and we will get back to you with those answers. So cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See y'all later.
Thanks, guys.